Welcome to the Unpacking It Charlotte podcast with Bryce Johnson. It's a show that unpacks sports, faith, and life with guests that have impacted the Charlotte sports landscape. Now, from the Unpacking It studios in Charlotte, uniting sports fans everywhere, here is Bryce Johnson.
Welcome to the Unpacking It Charlotte podcast. I'm Bryce Johnson. It's the show where we unpack sports, faith, and life. This is the official relaunch of the show in 2020, and we are fired up for a new format, a new approach as we talk with guests from Charlotte, and we'll discuss the big sports stories involving the local teams here in Charlotte, and we'll also just use this as an opportunity to keep you updated on Unpacking It and some of the great events that we have going on locally. And also, you can check out our Unpacking It Charlotte Facebook group. Just search Unpacking It Charlotte, and we have conversations on there as well. And then also be sure to subscribe to this podcast as well. Our next big event that's coming up is the Super Saturday Man Breakfast on February 1st. It's the day before the Super Bowl. It's taking place over at Central Church, and this year's panel includes LaVon Kirkland, former Pittsburgh Steeler, Andy Lee, the punter for the Arizona Cardinals, and Corey Miller, former South Carolina Gamecock and spent time in the NFL with the New York Giants. And so we're really excited to talk about the Super Bowl with them. We'll talk about their faith journeys, their lives, and it's just going to be a great morning. So go to unpackingit.com/Super Saturday to register today and make sure that you secure your ticket for that great breakfast and great event. Well, we've got a special guest in studio today, and actually he joined us at Super Saturday last year. And before we say hello to him, I want to thank our sponsors, Health Market Genius. Do you need health insurance? Well, get quotes for individual health insurance plans at healthmarketgenius.com. That's healthmarketgenius.com. Know your options. We're also brought to you by Paradigm 360 Coaching and Consulting. Well, let's say hello to our guest today. It's Michael Palardy, the punter for the Carolina Panthers. He played his college football from 2010 to 2013 at the University of Tennessee, where he was a kicker and a punter. Since going undrafted in 2014, he had stops in Oakland, St. Louis, Baltimore, Indy, Cleveland, and Atlanta, and he was cut or released 14 times before he finally landed as the Panthers' starting punter for the 2017 season. And in 2018, he signed a 3-year contract extension. Most importantly, he's a husband, a father, and a follower of Jesus, and he joins us here in the Unpacking It studios. Mike, thanks for being with us, man. How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing awesome and psyched for just kind of the relaunch of the show, and so thankful that you're a part of this kind of debut episode here in 2020. So
I love it, man. I'm honored. I'm honored that I get to be a part of the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna have some fun today. We'll talk football and faith and family, and I guess first off, how is the off season going for you, kind of personally, and what's it been like kind of since the end of the season?
It's been good, man. It's been good. Just it's a quick transition from the end of the season to, being at home every day. It's kind of when the season ends early, right? It's kind of bittersweet. You watch. There's a lot of football left to watch, and you wish you were playing, but there's nothing better than waking up every morning and getting a chance to, become a better father, a better husband, a better leader, encourager inside of the home. So I think. That's a big part of who I am, of what our family is about. So every morning that I get to wake up, I get to take the kids to school and, wake up with our 17-month-old and my wife and, spend time together and, just enjoy it, embrace it. That's a big part of my life, a big reason why I'm here, why I sit in this chair, is because of them. And so, being able to honor them and love them, I think is a huge deal for me when the season's over. Get to be there every single day and see those moments and make those experiences, because during the season, I'm up early, I'm home later in the afternoon. Weekends, I'm away, or even when we play at home, I'm still, not here on Saturday nights and all that kind of stuff. So it's been good, man. It's been good. It's a good transition.
Yeah, because what is that like during the season, just your role as a dad and husband, and it's less time, so how do you make the most of the less time and being intentional during that less time, the less amount of time that you have available?
Yeah, well, we talked about it earlier, before the show, and, as soon as I come home, usually around, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I got to be able to turn the switch on. I have to be able to adjust. And, the thing about being a father, thing about being a husband is they don't care about how hard your day was. What they care about is your ability to be a dad, be a husband on command, and be the best one that you possibly can be. So when I come home at 4 o'clock, they expect me, and I expect myself to, even if I have a hard day, be able to adjust and be the best dad that I possibly can be, do homework and help them and encourage them and, teach them about certain things that are going on in school and listen and, all of those things in such a short amount of time. I may not be able to get to spend the entire day with them, but I know that in the time that I do get to spend with them, if I make that impact, it'll feel like to them that I've been there the whole day, right? And I think that's a huge part of my wife and I, the things that we want to do and what we want to accomplish as a mom and a dad, just being able to influence them in a positive way, encourage them, whether it's in school, whether it's with their friends, whether it's in sports or in after-school activities. Be there. When you're there, be there, and not just your body there, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, everything there. Show your investment in them is sometimes a hard thing to do when we come home, we're stressed, we had a bad day. Just because I play football doesn't mean I don't have bad days, and we all have bad days. But like I said earlier, they don't care about that. They care about coming home and dad's home and dad
and being fun and joyful.
Absolutely,
and,
absolutely, and that's a huge part of it. That I'm not always the greatest at.
Yep.
And I fall short. Right, I miss the mark all the time. But I know that I have somebody like my wife who's also an encourager to me. And when she knows that I missed the mark, it's just a quick reminder. Hey, look, they don't care about how hard practice was, or you getting yelled at because you didn't punt well, or whatever it was. Just be the best dad that you can be. And
no, that's a good word, and I think all of us can relate to that. And maybe we don't get the nice off season that you guys get, where you get extra time.
Yep.
But it's not always about the amount of time.
Absolutely.
It's the quality of that time that we spend with our kids, and so that's a good word. But it's cool that you do kind of get the off season to get refreshed and to be around a lot more. And I know too that you moved into a new house relatively recently. How has that transition been? How much fun has that been?
It's been great. Our old house, we didn't have our backyard was kind of sloped, so the kids didn't really get to play out in the backyard much. It was more kind of in the front yard, and finally we moved into a piece of land that's flat. And now during Christmas time, we had a trampoline now, and a baby play area and a jungle gym for the baby, and so much space now.
Cool.
Our middle son's always, especially if it's a nice day, it could be 20 degrees outside like it's been the past couple of days, but he's outside playing football with the neighborhood kids. I'm out there. I was out there for 3 hours yesterday playing two-hand touch football with them, playing all-time quarterback. So it's been great. It's been great. We moved in August. The move itself always is a little stressful, especially with 3 kids and baby and schedules and school and all that kind of stuff. But
so you did that right before the season?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're nuts.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was. Yeah, it was right before. It was like the week before training camp started.
Oh.
Yeah, we closed on our house, and so it was as soon as we closed on our house, moving trucks were there, furniture, just the whole nine, man. So it was stressful, but now that everything's kind of settled down, we're enjoying it. We love it.
Oh, that's neat. I'm happy for you.
Thanks.
When you said, the house for Christmas, I thought you were going to say maybe you're Clark Griswold and you had lights all over your house, but not the case.
No, I don't. I kind of made the executive decision. Sometimes you just got to be you got to have some rationality to you. But I made the executive decision that it was probably not the smartest idea during the middle of the season, or towards the end of the season, I should say, to get on top of the roof and ladders to put Christmas lights up. So I stuck with kind of a smaller ladder, kind of put on handrails and poles, and I kind of stuck with that. And
Panthers fans are glad you did. That's good.
I hope so.
That's awesome. Well, we'll talk more family in a little bit, but we've got to talk about the kind of a crazy offseason for the Panthers, because it was a wild couple of weeks. Because even here locally, we're all excited hearing different changes to the coaching staff and all that's been going on with the Panthers. But even nationally, it was like story number one Panthers, story number two Panthers for a couple of days in the last couple of weeks. So for you as a player with the team, what has kind of the last couple of weeks been like, and hearing the news of Matt Rule taking over? What's the experience been like?
It's been pretty crazy. At the end of the season, you try to decompress, all right, and kind of everybody knows how the season went, and as stressful as it is to watch, it's probably a lot more stressful to play and be a part of. And but the last couple weeks have been, I would say, probably as news breaking for me as it is for everybody else. I've tried to stay away, but I also try to keep up. So every news article that breaks, when somebody else hears it, that's when I hear it. And so
they're not sending a text to the team.
No. If they are, it's not to the punter. But no, it's been, it's everything I've heard about Coach Rule has been fantastic. I haven't heard one bad thing about him, from former players to, coaching staff. And, I'm super blessed and super fortunate that, that he kept Chase from Ron's staff. We're super thankful for that. And
special teams coordinator.
Special teams coordinator. And I think that's, somebody who's familiar with us and familiar with our styles and the way we do things and the way we operate. And, I think Chase is an unbelievable coach, and every conversation that I've had with him, he's had nothing but amazing things to say about Coach Rule, and that, we're going to love him. The players are going to love him. He'll make guys run through brick walls. I think other guys have said that before. His former players have said that in college.
I'm ready as a fan.
Let's go. No, I watched his introductory press conference, and anybody who watched that probably felt the same way.
That's right.
I felt the same way, and it was, he's an amazing speaker, and from what I've heard, he's an amazing encourager and influencer, and he's intense, but he's loving, and he's a good teacher. And kind of the things that he said in his introductory press conference are things that we look forward to. And I'm anxious to meet him and get in there and kind of listen to him and pick his brain and interact with him and and kind of see this thing through, hopefully for a long time. So
now I mentioned in your intro, you were on a bunch of different teams before landing with the Panthers, and so some of those were short stops, but you still got to see different head coaches around the league and different styles and philosophies. Yeah. What's kind of your, just understanding of what it takes to be a successful head coach in the NFL? What stands out to you? How can so many guys be different, but what are the similarities that you feel translate to really make it work as a head coach in the NFL?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think a lot of guys would probably say at this level, you got a bunch of grown men that are providing for either themselves or their families, and accountability is a huge thing. Accountability is a huge thing. It earns the respect of guys in the locker room. And I think all of us as professional athletes hold ourselves accountable. We expect coaches to hold ourselves accountable. And I think when you have a plan and a process that's put in place, if you hold the guys that are accountable consistent, no matter if you are the highest paid guy on the team or the lowest paid guy on the team, if you hold them accountable for making sure that they hold themselves to the standard that you have set, I think everybody looks at that and says, hey, you know what? I'll go to bat for that guy. That's how locker rooms stay together. That's how, coaching staffs stay together. And, I think you have a process, you have a plan, you put it in place. Holding guys accountable makes them buy into it. It makes them believe in it. It makes them believe it works.
Well, because what's the alternative? Like, what happens when there isn't accountability? Like, what does that look like?
I think some guys tend to get a little frustrated.
Meaning guys are just getting away with not working hard or not playing hard, or is that?
Yeah, I mean,
we hear that word accountability get thrown around,
Sure.
and I think to really understand what does that mean to have it, but then what does it look like to not have it too? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're not holding yourself accountable and other guys aren't holding themselves accountable, right? You see kind of a disconnect. You see a little bit of a dysfunction, frustration,
shifting blame.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's, I think that ultimately is not what you want in the makeup of your team, especially at this level. Everybody's goal is Super Bowl. And anybody, and I've never been, but anybody I've talked to that's been or played in or won it, it's not easy. Everybody holds each other accountable. You look at guys like, Tom Brady, right? The receiver doesn't run the route the right way. He's on him. Yeah. It's not because he doesn't like him, right? It's because, hey, look, we have one goal in mind. This is our vision, right? I have to hold myself accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable, but I'm also going to hold you accountable to the things that you said you were going to do, right? And you don't want that disconnect. You don't want that dysfunction. And I think it's with the ebbs and flows of a season and games, right? It's frustrating sometimes when you don't play well, perform well, especially when you feel like you've had a good week of practice, and and sometimes those things happen. And so I think the difference between a locker room that has a lot of accountability and one that doesn't, I think you start to see, even if there's moving pieces, the ones that are held accountable, they start to kind of climb the ladder, especially towards kind of the end of the season. So.
Yeah, because I think accountability translates outside of the locker room in homes and friendships and relationships, and
absolutely,
yeah, it's important and valuable, and it's good insight in regards to that coming from the head coach and setting the tone
absolutely
for a culture of accountability, which is key. Because just keeping up with NFL teams around the league, you'll hear some rumblings of guys aren't being held accountable, and you can start to see teams unravel and that kind of thing. So that makes sense.
Right.
The other big story, of course, which is a bummer to hear as a fan, Luke Kuechly retiring.
Yeah.
And so was this a surprise to you? What was your initial response when you heard that news? And we've got his jersey hanging here in the studio.
Yeah, I think everybody was surprised, to be honest with you. I mean, Luke is such a fan favorite, and anybody who meets him and talks to him knows exactly, why he's a fan favorite, aside from the stuff that he does on the field. And Luke's not a guy who's gonna dive into a lot of personal information, and I don't know why he decided that he wanted to retire, but you know what, I'm proud of him for deciding that at this point in his career, that's the direction that he wants to go. Like I said, anybody who knows Luke knows that he's not an irrational person. He doesn't make irrational decisions. He makes logical, rational decisions. And this is probably something that he's thought about for a while. I don't know how long a while is, but it's probably something that he's thought about for a while. And he felt like at this point in his career, this is the path that he wanted to take. This is the direction he wanted to go. And I'm proud of him for it. I texted him and I told him that I was proud of him for it. And I think a lot of guys are too. I know Greg, said that Luke's very at peace, with the decision. And that's who Luke is. Luke is a clear thinker, a clear decision maker. And I know that, if he wants to, he'll have a place in the organization to do something and make an impact. And Luke can make impacts on the field. He can make impacts off the field. So, I know people are sad to see him go, because they love 59. They love seeing him on the field. They love his intensity, and by no stretch of the imagination, he's the leader, and it's hard to replace guys like Luke. But I know that there's guys like Shaq and stuff that are going to step into his place and fill that role and have that kind of demeanor and intensity to them.
Because, what was his role as a leader in the locker room? What was that actually like? Because we see things, on the field or whatever, and you could tell, oh, that guy's a leader. Not only is he awesome as a player, but guys seem to respond to him. So we can see that on the outside looking in. But from your vantage point, what made him a great leader? What did he bring to the locker room that will now be missed?
Yeah, he's kind of contrary to popular belief, because on the field he's super vocal, and he has to be. He's basically the conductor, the general, I see it, you see it, I'm going to let you know, everything that you see, like in his mic'd up videos. That's how he is on the field. He's intense, he's aggressive, he plays downhill, and he's smart. But off the field, he's quiet. But he leads, and there's so many different ways to be a leader.
Absolutely,
so many different ways to be a leader. And and Luke is not the rah guy. He's not the guy who gets up in front of the team and gives motivational speeches.
Oh, he's not. Okay,
no, he's not. He's not that kind of guy. You'll see him every single day in the weight room working out. A guy who takes a beating every single week, every single game, who plays aggressive every single game. He doesn't take reps off. He practices the same way. He prepares the same way. He takes young guys and he says, "Hey, look, this is what I see. This is what on the defensive side." He's encouraging to me, right? I make a big punt, right? Punt inside the 5, whatever it is. Everybody's all fired up about it. The first person to come out and say, that he's proud of me, or, "Hey, man, that's awesome," is Luke.
Wow, that's neat.
Right? And so you see that, and leading by example, and guys follow. Right? And he's always an encourager. He's not a throw anybody under the bus kind of guy. He takes responsibility. And those are the facets of Luke's game, especially off the field, that it makes an impact on everybody's career and everybody's life. And even if you don't play defense,
That's neat.
For me it was that way. Always walking by me and saying what's up, and, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" Or, my kids love him.
Oh, cool.
we go, the night before game, we go to, church and, in the hotel, and my kids and my wife come, and, Luke's always saying what's up to him, giving him high fives, and Greg's the same way. It's that type of persona that Luke has, guys like Greg have, that make them amazing off the field as they are on the field.
Gosh, no, it's awesome to hear, and it makes you reflect and go, wow, we're thankful to have had him in Charlotte with the Panthers for, these last, 8-9 years.
Yeah.
And so it's sad to see him go, but it seems to be that there will be a spot for him, and he'll stay connected in some way.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be rooting for that. Well, let's go back a little bit to the season, and it definitely was a disappointing season, a tough season. But one of the key moments, of course, was Ron Rivera getting fired, and midway through the year, and so what was your response to that? How surprised were you, and how did you handle that whole situation?
Yeah, I think there's
he gave you your chance.
No, without a doubt. He believed in me along with a lot of other people, and guys like Luke had said it too. He believed in Luke just like he believed in me, and he gave me an opportunity, allowed me to work through some growing pains, and experience certain things. And there's always chatter about things that people hear, and but we were all surprised. It was sad. It was sad. It's such a impactful person within the organization, but more so within the community and the city of Charlotte. I know how much time Coach Rivera invested in us, in his family, and his job, and the community, and people loved him. And everybody that talked about when he got fired, they talked about how amazing of a person he was, aside from the football stuff, because I think the impact that he had made in people's lives off the field was far greater than his success on the field. He always allowed us to be men, and if there was a family issue, he allowed us to handle it, and he understood it wasn't, hey, football over everything, right? It was family first, and that's the way he approached every day. That's the way he approached his relationships with his players. He cared about our family. He when our baby was being born during training camp, I missed 3 days of practice, because, stuff that had gone on in the hospital, and allowed me to be there without making me feel bad for wanting to be there.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, and I think those types of memories on top of guys that played in, you know, NFC championship games and won the division with him and going to Super Bowl 50 and all of those things, they remember the stuff off the field more than they do on the field. So I think it hurt a lot of people, but we understand why. I think at some point, right, everybody's got to understand why we understood that it was a possibility. Not that it was going to happen, but it was a possibility.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just something that happens. And, you know, guys get cut, coaches get fired, you know, and we've got to adjust and we've got to move on and we've got to, it's just the way it goes. So,
yeah, I thought it was special that rarely do you hear when a head coach gets fired just the outpouring of positivity about the coach.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we love John Fox here in Carolina, but that final year was so bad. It was 2-14 season that he didn't necessarily get the due that he probably was due.
Right.
Whereas it seemed like Ron Rivera, I mean, just the way he left, it was just very, you know, positive, just in whether it was media members or fans or players or former players, just speaking so highly of him. And I thought that said a lot about him. And to your point, too, sometimes this happens in the league. And I think about Andy Reid. You know, he had a nice career in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
But it just kind of was time for him to move on from Philadelphia. And what happened? He got scooped up right away. Kansas City got him.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had a losing season in Kansas City. And so Rivera is still a great coach. That's why the Redskins went and got him. And it's exciting for the Panthers because now they get a fresh start, a new head coach, and that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. So
yeah, and for Coach Rivera, it's the same thing. You know, Coach Rivera gets a new start, and he, you know, and we all at some point in our careers, whether it's coaching, whether it's on the field as a player, we have to assess a season or a career, or hey, what things worked, what things didn't work. Let's carry it over into next year, or you know, for Coach Rivera on a different team, and knowing how smart and intellectual Coach Rivera is, he'll probably do the same thing. Mm-hmm. He'll assess and say, hey, you know what, this really worked in my tenure, this didn't work, so you know, let's build on the things that worked and maybe change some of the things that didn't work. And we all do that, right? I mean, we all professionally have to do those certain those things sometimes, you know. But yeah, it was sad, and I respect a lot that Mr. Tepper allowed Coach Rivera to do a press conference at the end.
That was big and rare too.
Yeah. Which some people don't see, but I think that speaks volumes of our owner to show, even in the midst of, you know, what some people would look at as, you know, a tragedy and the end of something that was so special that Carolina Panther fans loved and were a part of and bought into for so long, allowed him to say a goodbye the way that he wanted to do it, you know, and I thought that was really special. I think that spoke volumes of who Mr. Tepper is as well, and how much compassion and sympathy and empathy he has for Coach Rivera, you know, during that time, because he knew it was tough. So.
Yeah, and it just, from my perspective, it just seemed like the decision was more about a timing, fresh start type of thing for everyone involved, and it wasn't a personal thing like, oh, Ron can't coach, he's out of here. That was never the feeling, that makes sense. So now everybody gets a fresh start, and there's something special about that. So a lot going on with the Panthers, and just kind of a change of the guard, and you know, think about guys like Luke Kuechly retiring and Ron Rivera leaving. So it's a wild time for sure. But you're right in the middle of it, and so going back though to last season, and with it being a challenging season, what was it like for you and some of the guys that, you know, are part of Bible studies and guys that, you know, want to lean on each other in a deeper way? Yeah. When things are tough, how was your faith challenged? How did you guys, you know, rely on the Lord, rely on each other during last season's kind of difficulty? Yeah,
you know, we had Bible study every Saturday morning before our team meeting. Gerald McCoy led it. JJ Jansen led it, and you know, there were a number of guys like myself who were in there. You know, and sometimes in the midst of those emotional mental tough times. I think the way that you express yourselves, for me personally, the way I express myself in the locker room, I tried to show myself as somebody who could be a light in maybe somebody else's darkness. When guys struggled with stuff on the field and wasn't going well, or they weren't playing well, and myself included, right? You always want to find that person who the Lord just kind of shines through them to you, and you always want to be that person, and you always want to have that person. And I think in the locker room, there's so many guys that day in and day out, they have that persona about them. They have that personality that you can walk up to them and you can open up to them and you can talk to them, or even us being able to recognize when somebody's struggling, being able to go up to them and say, hey, look, is there anything that I need? And it's not necessarily making them do something they don't want to do or say something they don't want to say, but offering your help or your guidance, or anything that the Lord may speak to me about that I can give to somebody else.
That's good.
It may not be beneficial to me, or it may not apply to me at that time, but it may apply to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think that guys like Gerald and JJ and Colin Jones and Luke and all the guys that are on the team, that are leaders, that are captains, they just stand out. They stand out in a room. Are guys that you need when you go through seasons like we went through last year.
Yeah.
I believe every locker room needs those handful of guys, and hopefully it grows into a handful, now 2 handfuls, and then it starts to spread, right? And we're all called to be disciples, and some people are very receptive of it, and some people aren't.
Yeah.
But instead of trying to push it, just know, hey, look, you know what? Sometimes we just need a listening ear. Sometimes we need somebody to vent to, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. In a locker room, you think, oh, you know what? This guy's in here. He's just trying to make money, and then he's going to go home to his family. But it's not like that. And what makes the Panthers locker room so amazing is that there's probably not one person inside of that locker room that doesn't like another person, or that hasn't talked to or cares about their family, or you don't see that. You don't see that at all. You see cohesiveness. You see guys that love each other, that love their families, that are laughing or they're talking, and I think everybody needs that. I think every locker room needs that. And I'm super fortunate and blessed to be a part of a locker room that has that, and those types of character guys, because it's made such an impact on my life when I've struggled on and off the field, guys that I feel like I can be able to talk to. So,
well, that says a lot too about the team, because all right, the wins weren't there this year.
Right.
Some tough losses, some surprising losses, all that sort of thing. But to hear you say, hey, this is a team that still likes each other. There are good relationships in that locker room. The way I hear that is, hey, it doesn't mean that now all of a sudden, the Panthers lost some games, you get rid of everybody and you start totally over. And there's a sense of, there's kind of a rebuilding going on. It's a new head coach, and Luke Kuechly retires. But you look at a team like the San Francisco 49ers, who had 4 wins last year, but they were building something solid. The core was there. They had some injuries that they dealt with, and now they're in the Super Bowl. They get their quarterback back and that kind of thing. So you have a similar type of hope and belief in, hey, the core is here. We love what the atmosphere here is, the continuity that we've established over the years.
Right.
Is that what I'm kind of hearing you say, I guess?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And trust me, there's no one person that's in that locker room that doesn't feel the same frustration as any of the other fans on the outside looking in. We are all super competitive. We all want to win. We play the game to win. We play the game because we love the game. And I think when you don't win, and maybe sometimes you're, oh man, we're this close, right? It was this play or whatever it was. We're going to experience it. Everybody's going to experience the frustration and the hard times and the struggles. Oh man, I was almost there, but I just missed it. We all miss the mark, right? And whether it's professionally, whether it's in our own, relationships, in our marriages, in our relationships with our children, whatever it is, we all miss the mark. But that doesn't mean that we just give up on everybody else that goes through the same things, or we all want to feel, hey, you know what, I got your back. No matter what you're going through in your life, no matter what you're going through on the field, or whatever it is in corporate world, or whatever it is, I got your back. I'm here for you. It's okay, right? We'll go through this together, and that's what our locker room has done, And it's not, this guy's not doing this, so you know what, I'm not going to play with him, because none of those guys in that locker room are like that. And I believe wholeheartedly that we do have the core, whatever core is left. That's not my decision to make.
Yeah.
But we do have those kind of high character guys inside of our locker room that I believe will continue to make an impact in people's lives on and off the field. Whatever the coaching decision, whatever they choose is personnel wise is their decision. But I've seen more guys gravitate towards one another throughout this past season, I think, than I have before.
Cool.
I think there's something to be said about that.
Well, and I think too, okay, Luke Kuechly's not going to be there as a player anymore, but his impact's still there.
Absolutely.
The playing alongside Shaq Thompson for these last few seasons, he now hands off the reins to him. Shaq was able to watch Luke and hopefully follow suit and all that kind of thing. And whether Gerald McCoy comes back or not, or if it was just a 1 year kind of situation, the impact that he was able to have on guys and on that young defensive line and some of those other players that got an opportunity this year because of injuries and that kind of thing. So that's a cool perspective to hear. And for you personally, football wise, how do you evaluate your season? What do you look for? What stats do you consider?
Right.
And when you look back at the 2019 season, what's kind of your evaluation of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think, ultimately you look back at the season, you think of, I'm my toughest critic, and I'm always super hard on myself, and I always feel like even if somebody else is like, oh man, he played a great game, there's always something that I feel like I didn't do well, right? And I'm always going to be like that. That's just how I am. It's my competitive instinct. I've been that way since I was a little boy. But I think anybody who looks at the season as a whole, right, they always come back to games like Atlanta. We gave up our first punt return for a touchdown since I've been here. We go back to Indianapolis. We gave up 2 punt returns for a touchdown. Obviously, that leaves a very sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, myself included. Yeah. That's not a fun thing to be a part of, right? You don't want to be on the receiving end of it, right? You want to be on the one that was scoring the touchdown.
That's right.
Right? But I think when you assess the season as a whole, we've had so many guys, so many moving parts, so many injuries, so many guys playing that have done an amazing job at being able to adjust to positions that they wouldn't normally play. I think I said to you earlier, there was 20, maybe 25, 24 guys. I don't know how many it was. I can't tell you for sure that, we're on our roster at the end of the season, on our active roster at the end of the season that weren't even with us in training camp.
I mean, that's a crazy number.
Right. It's, and that's that's
20 or more is,
Sure, without a doubt, and a lot of the things that happen, I always take responsibility for the bad things, and I try to push the good things on everybody else that has made a lot of amazing plays. So I'm, like I said, I'm my toughest critic, and when I look back at the season, I look at, from a punting perspective, we always say that your gross average is a reflection on you as a punter. Your net average is a reflection on the team, the punt coverage team as a whole, right? So there's so many, and I think any guy who played on the punt team this year would sit in this chair would probably say the same thing, right? We let a lot of people down, and it could be from my punt to coverage to missed tackles to whatever it is, and we're all a part of it, But there were some amazing parts, right? There were some really good, I remember. The Titans game, we went out to punt late in the game. We hit a shorter field punt, kind of the plus 50 punt, down inside the 5. It made them have to go 96 yards or however many yards it was to be able to score. So like there's so many of those plays that are there. The last game of the year, our coverage team was playing against an all-pro punt returner in the Saints. He's amazing, right? And normally people are like, oh, you know what, don't punt it to him, right? Hit it all. But our coverage team was the last game of the year was unbelievable, was amazing, making tackles and finishing strong. So I think you just got these ebbs and flows of the season. Unfortunately, we were on the receiving end of 3 punt returns for a touchdown, which is never fun, and it's super frustrating as a punter, because I always look at it and say, you know what, there's always something that I could have done differently, hitting the ball out of bounds or, whatever it is. But I think assessing the year as a whole, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay. Definitely need to be better. Definitely need to, take those experiences in the game, and know that if that situation comes up next time, how to do something different.
Absolutely.
So and I think we all do that. I think that makes a professional. So
well, we got to talk about the highlight of the year, the 4th and 10,
yep.
and caught pass, first down,
yep.
and so you're a former quarterback, so you made the throw and you got fired up, but then it kind of got doused on because Hines ran 2 back that game.
Yeah.
But how fun was that for you to make a throw and get the first down?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I always look for opportunities like that. That's kind of a facet of the game that sometimes is a little underrated. If you have a team that can successfully run fakes, it kind of puts the punt return team on the other side on their heels a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And they play a little bit more conservative, which as a punter you don't want them to play aggressive. You want them to play a little more conservative. Why? Because to feel comfortable back there punting allows you to get off kind of the best quality punt that you possibly can get. You don't want to be super aggressive because then you try to rush things. You don't hit a great punt. So, it's kind of this cat and mouse game that you play sometimes. And finally we were able to find the right situation and get one called and execute. And DeAndre White made a great catch because I underthrew it a little bit. He made a great catch and got the first down. But like you said, it kind of got masked by everything else that happened. So, but hopefully there's more of those to come in the future.
We saw the quarterback skill, so we got to see some more fake punts.
Yeah. Now I got to try to work on maybe my 40 speed.
That's right.
Maybe try to get a run and a throw, at least maybe once in my career. So
there you go. That'd be sweet too. Well, but not to dwell on those returns.
Right.
What's your tackling approach?
It's always tough because
you're the last man.
Yeah, it's kind of tough because you kind of want to try to get yourself in the best position. I mean, these guys are so dynamic, and you don't realize it until you're actually out there, and it's just kind of a quick instinctual, reaction. But I think sometimes the sideline's your best friend, and if they're near the sideline, all you got to do is just kind of knock them off balance and knock them out of bounds. Sometimes it's just hard to do. These returners they vary in sizes.
True.
Vary in weight and speed and their quickness, and what you don't want is right in the middle of the field and you're the only one by yourself. But usually I try to at least try to slow them down or try to knock their legs or go to their feet, dive low, or that's kind of if I can. But sometimes I just got to make them slow down and go one direction because I know I've got guys coming fast to make the tackle. So it's tough. It's a tough.
Well, and it's tough for us to think like, come on, the punter's got to make the stop. Like that's not what you're practicing every day.
Yeah,
and it's a lot to expect.
Yeah, I mean, I've made plenty of tackles in my day, unfortunately, but that's a part of it that sometimes you just you got to do. You got to be willing to sacrifice your body, and that's how I tore my labrum a couple years ago trying to tackle Marcus Sherrills for the Vikings, and and I tripped him up, and he got tackled, but I ended up tearing my labrum. So it's just kind of one of those things that you don't want to do, but sometimes you got to.
No, yeah, part of the deal. Well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about your faith. And you've been on the show before and really shared your testimony, and so people can check out that interview. Just search on our website, unpackingit.com, and you can catch up on that. But would love to just kind of hear about what God is doing in your life right now, maybe some things that you've learned personally. And we were talking earlier, you like to listen to Tony Evans.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book by the pastor right now. But just some things that have been on your heart that you'd be willing to share with us today.
Yeah, I think for myself personally and my wife, there's just like you assess when it comes to sports and football in your professional career, you always assess your success or lack thereof sometimes, and you try to say, okay, what can I do the same? What can I do different? Right now, at this time of the season, I have a lot of downtime. I have a lot of time where I'm not worried about football. I'm not thinking about practice and games and getting myself mentally prepared for that. But I have to do the same and take the same concepts into my home. I always have to make sure, and I always want to make sure that I'm working as hard at being a husband and a father as I am being a punter. And sometimes we get those mixed up or in reverse order. We care so much about our professional career that we forget to work hard at home as well. And I've said earlier, we all miss the mark. And what God has allowed me to do is he's given me this time to really reflect on what I need to do as a husband and as a father to set the right example, to lead my family, bring my family, my children, my wife, our marriage, my relationship with my children, her relationship with our children closer to God. He always presents those opportunities, even for people who may not believe in him or may not trust in him or maybe kind of teeter-tottering on the line or
searching. Yeah.
I think he always will present those opportunities to us, and it could be through somebody else. It could be through a book. I think he is trying to get me to search more. I think he wants me to search more. I think he wants me to find more answers to the questions that I have and the things that I hold myself responsible for inside of my family and inside of my home. So I've been trying to read more, open up my Bible more, be more intentional.
Yeah.
With seeking him, seeking what he wants out of me and expects out of me. There have been a few people who I've had conversations with that have talked to me about Ephesians 5, talked about the role of a husband and a wife, and their relationship between Christ and the church. And it's just those small times that you look at it and you say, that wasn't an accident. He's trying to get me to bring somebody closer to him. It could be my wife. It could be my children. It could be somebody else. I think sometimes on the surface, for people who, like myself sometimes, who read the words in the Bible, and on the surface they look like they mean something, but what they're actually saying is something different and something else. And there's such a deeper meaning to it when you dive in and you go seek it out, and you
unpack it.
And you unpack it. There we go. I see what you did there. And you unpack it and you kind of break it apart. And some people don't realize it. Some people don't know it until it's explained to them or until it's brought to their attention. And they're like, wow, you know what? I never knew that.
It's powerful stuff.
Now let me go look, right? And immediately all you did was you took somebody's attention and brought it to God. It could be for a couple minutes, but it's an impact in itself. So I think for me, ultimately, I'm trying to learn new ways to be the best husband, the best follower, the best leader and disciple that I possibly can be. And it could be through a number of channels.
Yeah.
So it's not always easy. It's not always easy.
It takes discipline.
It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of humility.
Yeah.
A lot of humility to be able to sit there and say, hey, you know what? I just don't know.
I don't have all the answers.
I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And I don't. I don't have all the answers. I wish I did, but, I don't. And my wife teaches me a lot, and there's certain things that, now that our older two are getting older in school, they're going through things in their life. They're going through social things, and they're going through, changes in their body and in their minds and, spiritually and mentally and things that they think are important, but they're not important. And it's an opportunity to encourage them, mold them, and give them the type of resources and tools that I have access to that they expect somebody like me to give to them. that God expects me to give to them.
Man, no, that's such a good word, because we've got to continue to, seek knowledge and wisdom rooted in God's word from him, so that we can then handle the circumstances that we deal with and come alongside those that are going through different situations, like our kids.
Absolutely.
That are experiencing things, and to be able to have the right wisdom to know, when to speak up, when to listen, when to discipline them, when to, show them grace, all those kinds of things. But if we're not seeking the Lord's guidance and wisdom, we're trying to do it in our own strength, our own understanding, we're a lot more likely to make mistakes and miss out on opportunities. But man, I'm encouraged by you to say, hey, let's continue to seek that knowledge, because it's available to us. God wants to walk alongside us as we walk alongside others and encounter our own circumstances and difficulties and challenges and all that sort of thing. So
and it's it's not easy, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it. And it's just not, right? I mean, we all get influenced by culture, and we get influenced by
selfishness and distractions and
I think back to Genesis. I think back to original sin, right? I think back to being born selfish by nature, and we all are, right? And we all feel like we have all the answers sometimes, and we feel like we know, and we feel like we have the right wisdom, but it's opposite of God's intention for us. And the more we understand it, we got to be able to admit it, right? We got to be able to sit there and say, you know what, I missed the mark. And it's fun. It's funny because my wife and I, she reads her own books and devotions, and we talk about it. And I'm in the middle of reading the Gospels, and I did some research on the word sin. And sin is an old archery term. Yeah. Basically, in archery, you have a target, and if you miss the target, they yell out, whoever's by the target, they yell out sin and then a number. So meaning how far you are from the target. And I think that's amazing, right? I think it's amazing to look at that analogy and that picture of how much we actually do miss the mark, right? Because of sin, right? Our ability to say that we've missed the mark shows humility.
That's right.
Being able to forgive ourselves and know that God forgives us as long as we seek his forgiveness, that will trickle down into being able to forgive others,
right?
Show others grace, show others mercy, and what that actually looks like. And I think, sometimes all people want is just to see it. They may not necessarily need to hear it, but to see what grace looks like, And I think the biggest one as a father is being able to forgive your kids for making irrational decisions that we wouldn't normally make ourselves. But our expectations as parents, our expectations are little irrational people and expecting them to make rational decisions.
That's good.
Right? And
You're right.
And we get upset.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you make that decision, right? You're supposed to do this, this, and this, but we got to be able to assess the situation and say, you know what? They're only 8, 9.
That's right.
Right? How can we expect them to make a rational decision if they're irrational by nature at this point in their lives? So, and again, we all miss the mark, and I miss the mark, and sometimes I'm quick to frustration, and I'm quick, and that's why I have people like my wife to sit there and say, hey, you know what? Why don't you try this? Try doing this, right? Try it this way and see what you get. See what the result is. It's amazing because it doesn't take a 30-minute lecture to realize. It takes a quick reminder from my wife to say, hey, you know what? This is who our child is, whoever we're talking, whatever we're doing, and this is how they respond to things. And this is what they do well. This is what they don't do well. So maybe try doing this. And I know that's not her wisdom, it's God's wisdom, and he's speaking through her to me.
That's good.
And it's super impactful. It's super powerful, and we all miss the mark, man.
Yeah, and that's why we rest in God's grace, and it's just another reminder when we do fall short, our need for Jesus, our need for his forgiveness, and so it's so encouraging that we can go to him and he cleanses us, and it's just that humility though that you speak of just acknowledging, I am broken. I do miss the mark, but I desire to seek after you. I desire to continue to grow and mature and develop in my faith and my reliance on you. And I try doing it on my own. I start slipping up, and I do make mistakes, and God's there to forgive us, and we rest in Him. And so you talk about as a father, He's looking at us as as our Heavenly Father that same way, saying, "Come on, you got it. I know you're still learning. I know you're still growing.
Oh yeah,
you'll get it. Let's keep going."
The same grace that He shows us and mercy He shows us on a day-to-day basis is the same grace and mercy that we are expected to show not only our children but everybody.
Yeah.
A hard thing to do.
It is.
Definitely a hard thing to do, but I'm learning, and I want to learn, and I it's important for me to learn, and I don't want to let ego or arrogance get in the way of striving to become the best that I possibly can be in every facet of my life.
Yeah.
We have the tools, we have the resources to go find it.
Yeah.
And it's just our willingness to be able to go do it.
That's right. And to rely on His power in us to enable us to do that and continue to grow. Yeah. So, man, no, that's a great word. And maybe we'll end it right there. And we could talk all day, but maybe we'll have to do this again. And so, man, appreciate you being here in the studio today and hanging out and talking football and faith. And, man, I'm excited for the upcoming season and just kind of this new look Panthers, but we'll at least know that, hey, number 5 back there, we can count on number 5. So
yeah, I hope so. I hope other people who are listening feel the same way.
That's all, absolutely, man. I probably used to leave during a punt or whatever. Now it's here comes Mike. Let's go.
Naturally, yeah. Hey, that's all right. It's the same. It's like an intermission in hockey, right? You just kind of walk out and go to the bathroom or something. It's not a big deal. But hopefully, hey, look, a punt can be an impactful play.
Oh, big time.
And it's and I hope we get more opportunities, to be more aggressive with some of our thinking and the way that we approach game situations and take advantage of certain looks and schemes and but I know that no matter what, that doesn't change the things that I do, the way I prepare. Ultimately at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's the same way, and I hope eventually it gets to a point where people are on the edge of their seat. When it's time to punt, whether it's making a big play of a punt down inside the 5 or out of bounds or a muff punt or big time punt flipping the field or a fake, whatever, for whatever reason. It's
I found that I get a lot of excitement from the pin inside the 5.
Yeah.
Like it's such credit to you. That's such a skillful thing to do, and it requires the guys to get down there to grab it and know when to touch it down and all that kind of thing. But to get it there versus starting on the 2 versus starting on the 20 is a big deal.
Oh, it's a big difference. I mean, you're talking about 18 yards worth of field position, and even in penalties too. I mean, he could he could fair catch it on the 10, but if it's a holding on the return team, right, that's half the distance to the goal. You're starting at the 5. I mean, that's a percentage-wise, that's a huge difference. It changes the offensive coordinator's play calling and how aggressive he is, and it's just
threat of a safety. So it's a fun play. So.
Yeah.
He's your Carolina Panthers punter, Michael Palardy, with us here on the Unpacking It Charlotte podcast. Be sure to check out our website, unpackingit.com. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, be sure to do so. It's everywhere podcasts are found. And then also, if you haven't subscribed to the weekday email devotional that we call Unpack This, you can also subscribe to that on unpackingit.com. Each weekday, I send out a quick thought about sports, faith, and life. It takes a current sports story, relates it to the Bible, and it's designed to encourage all of us each day. So check that out. And then also, February 1st, the Super Saturday Man Breakfast with LaVon Kirkland, Corey Miller, and Andy Lee. Would love to see you join us at that, unpackingit.com/Super Saturday. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time right here on the Unpacking It Charlotte podcast.
For more information about the show, our Charlotte area events, and other resources, visit unpackingit.com. We hope you are encouraged, inspired, and challenged by what you heard today. To support our show and Unpacking It Ministries with a financial gift, visit unpackingit.com/donate. This has been the Unpacking It Podcast.